Today on the show, Radical Ones, the man of your dreams is back. It's A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge from 1985.
Jesse, who is doing this to you?
Fred Krueger!
It's time to get radical.
Krueger! Well, it ain't Dr. Seuss.
Well, what are you reading that for?
I'm into survival.
You want to know who Fred Krueger was?
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV.
Freddy's coming for you, radical ones. It's Radical Retro Rewind. Nightmare on Elm Street. Summer.
Welcome back, Radical Ones, to another episode of the Radical Retro Rewind podcast as we continue our Nightmare on Elm Street summer. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, here with everyone's favorite brother and mine for Freddy's Revenge. This is part 2. This is 1985, David. A matter of fact, it came out November of 1985. So this might have caused my birth, right? At the end of the month.
It might have caused you to be gay.
There we go. Let's just get into it.
Jesse. It might have caused me to take loads of Xanax to be as calm and as sedate as Lisa, who I just have to go right into it. She's the calmest person I've ever met in a horror movie, but I appreciate that towards the end of the movie.
Fred Krueger kidnapped 20 kids and brought them here and killed them.
They told her it was just a bad dream. She knew it was real. It became a nightmare on Elm Street. Now there's a new kid on Elm Street. And Freddy's been waiting.
I'm afraid to go to sleep.
And we'll stay up all night if we have to. I'm not gonna let anything happen to you.
Freddy's back. And this time he's not fooling around.
You are all my children now.
A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. It's coming soon. Watch out for it.
This is A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, 1985. It is described as the film follows Jesse Walsh, a teenager who begins having recurring nightmares about Freddy Krueger after moving into the former house of Nancy Thompson from the first film. Okay, thoughts right off the bat. We do hear, right, that this is 5 years, I believe, David? 5 years, because they mentioned that the diary, Nancy's diary, is from 5 years ago. So I'm assuming 5 years has passed. Nancy's gone, and this family is moving into the house.
Well, after everything that happened, if the father made her stay in that house.
But we still don't know, right? We still don't know. Although I love your idea that you said last week where the dream might have been him saying it's not over yet. And like he's going back after her, like revenge in a way or something like that.
She defeated him, but this was the restart where the end was the new dream, like he was coming back again. Like she took away her power from him, but this is his comeback because he always comes back, right? So that's what I was saying.
What do you think about this? Because you'll get into the gay thing, but it really is a very different movie in a way than the rest of the franchise. I said that about the first one, but that was setting up the rules and stuff.
So
this is
completely different. I said this is a big descent from the movie franchise. I said it is very supernatural. It's giving me Amityville Horror, Hellraiser, especially with the human-faced dogs and the demonic cats and rats and the like kind of descent into like this underworldish sort of vibe going into the boiler room. So that's off the bat. If you watch the whole movie through, this is where this whole reality dream goes into real world, because in most of the other movies, if not all the other movies, unless someone is in the dream or they pull Freddy out of
Right.
the dream, there is no interaction between reality. Freddy could be slashing and thrashing a million people while they're sleeping, and you could be sitting there eating your Cheerios in the morning, having breakfast, and nothing, you will not feel anything. There is nothing going on. There's not even like a psychic connection. You know what I'm trying to say?
You're
Nothing's
right.
going on. In this, birds burst into flames. The house was always hot, like because the boiler, the boiler room vibe.
That was ridiculous too.
So this was very much a descent, and I really feel like because the original movie was the original movie, they did not know what they were doing when they did the comeback. They didn't know where this franchise was going to go, what it was going to be, and I feel like ultimately they decided that we're just going to throw pasta at the wall and see if it sticks, and kind of go with, yes, it is still that based on he's the dream stalker,
yes,
and whatever, and keep the lore about him being the stalker at night when you go to sleep. But there was never been, as far as I can remember, any of the other movies, unless he's physically pulled out of the dream by a living person, where he has full reign over the human world, where he causes calamities and explosions and fires and different events which would be considered supernatural.
It's so true. It's like a ghost movie in a way, or a poltergeist movie, like you're saying.
Amityville Horror, Hellraiser, like that whole vibe. That's what it was giving me.
So this starts off with Jesse having a dream on the bus, right? And the
wheels on the bus go round and round, and ending up in the desert.
Arizona. They took a turn and they were in Arizona all of a sudden.
I don't know, maybe it was giving me New Mexico or Nevada.
New Mexico.
Vibes,
I'm sure it's California, right? Even
probably.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But
Mommy, why can't Jesse wake up like everybody else?
Oh, honey, he's all right. He's just having a bad dream.
It says, this was carried over from the previous film. Wes Craven was against Freddy appearing in person as the driver of the car in the epilogue scene, as he felt the storyline for Nancy, Tina, and Rod and Glenn should be self-contained from the first film. The compromise was to use the idea of Freddy driving the vehicle for the sequel. The character of Elisa had more emphasis on her in the original film. It explains that Craven suggested that we shift the focus to Jesse, the male lead in the script, and focus on Jesse for 90% of the film, and then suddenly shift to Lisa, his girlfriend. So now it's 50-50. This franchise is known for its leading ladies, because even going into this, she was kind of, I'm sorry, I think she was just really, she just wanted a boyfriend so badly that she was just like, I'm going with this guy. I don't care what he is, what he wants.
Jesse was adorable.
I mean, we have a whole thing, Radical Ones, because there was a documentary that Rob suggested we watch called Scream Queen.
So I mean, it obviously comes up very often. So first of all, out of the whole franchise, this movie gets the most, I guess you would say, Rotten Tomato ratings. A lot of people do not like this movie, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't think most people, or the people that don't like this movie, it's not because of the gay coding of Jesse. It's because it descends so far from, when we think Freddy, I don't think Amityville Horror House, I don't think Poltergeist, I think in the dreams, and he can get pulled out, and that's it. I'm a purist when it comes to that sort of thing, and I think a lot of the fans are too. For a gay boy growing up in the 80s, I think that this character maybe did not obviously appeal to a lot of macho straight guys, because he is overtly, he's the final girl, he's the final boy in this.
Yeah.
And he is the Nancy, but he's not quite as strong, because at the end, ultimately in the end of the movie, Lisa, his girlfriend, she's the one who steps up to the plate, but not in the way you think. She's not all, I'm going to set traps and snares and I'm going to take back my power from Freddy. So there's a lot of homoerotic in there. There's a lot of innuendo, and there's some straight out, just very sexual things in this movie.
So what about you and that rich baby been cruising to school with every day?
What about her?
Are you mounting her nightly or what?
So first of all, one of the things is that Jesse is at school and he gets into a sort of a skirmish when they're playing softball with his frenemy,
Them.
Grady, and he pulls down his pants. He has a really cute butt, by the way. Pulls down his pants like he's fighting him, and his pants come up. And one of the girls is like, "Nice ass." And Lisa and her friend are commenting. So
oh my god, her friend that was pure 80s with the bow on her head.
Her friend who could pass for so many other actresses in the 80s, giving me what's her name from Susie Kurtz, is that her name? The one, and then the one from she's giving me the one from Lost Boys, giving me the one from
Star.
She's giving me all these different characters. Anyway,
are you under the idea as well that they were kind of even like, again, just to go back to your Amityville horror connection, maybe it was possessed with this energy in a way?
Well, it's his home. And later on, you find out in the franchise, this is where he had a family. So not to give away too much, he was a family man. Later on in the franchise, you see that the house is just as iconic in a way as the claw razor hands are. It's very iconic. The house does come up. Most people who know horror know the iconic weird windows of the Amityville Horror House because it's very odd. Eyes. They're very odd. It's not something you see in most houses. We grew up where, if you'll remember, right? Going up the block of our house, there was these two houses that were these small houses that had these really weird windows, two big windows, and they were these mirrored houses. And they always gave me, not because they were scary, but like, this is like the closest. I'm like, this is like an Amityville because they're just really odd shaped windows. And they're just the only thing you see when you look at this house. So
the red door. This is Freddy's red door.
Yeah, and we're not talking Estee Lauder spa either.
No. So
Elizabeth Arden. We're not talking Elizabeth Arden here. Red Door Spa.
Now that's a throwback.
That is a throwback. There you go. I'm giving you 80s realness here. Mm-hmm.
Jesse's family, his father, his mother, and his little sister move into this. And I just got to bring it up because I love it. Because I'm getting it's very stereotypical, but the Fu Man fingers cereal that his little sister was eating earlier.
Angie, what are you up to?
I'm trying to get the Fu Man fingers.
Fu Manchu, basically. It was a cereal for.
Well, there's also that.
She's like, I want the Fu Man fingers.
Oh, is that what she says?
Yeah, I want the Fu Man fingers. So it's after he has his dream, but it's those classic, like the witch fingers, those little things. I love that.
They still make those.
And it's
they have blown that. I got my kids witch fingers. They love that.
The father from Return of the Living Dead, also that came out in 1985. Is his father the guy who owned Unita? By the way, we're filming this on July 3rd, which is the day that Return of the Living Dead takes place.
So there is also another actress that later on Lisa has a party and her mother and father. Lisa's mother is Melinda O'Fee, who played a key role in The Bionic Woman. She played Tammy Cross. She was one of the templates for the Fembot. She was. Oh my God! She was Tammy Cross in the Fembots in Vegas.
And
so that's
David has been wanting to do Bionic Woman since our first season. So I think we're gonna have to do a Bionic Woman episode.
Well, we have to do the Fembots and the Fembots in Vegas. That was like Jamie Summers' ultimate, standoff. Melinda O'Fee was the mom, and it's so nice to see acting other people, acting in other things. So
in her bedroom scene with Lisa's father.
Listen, I'll take anything. If I'm a working actor, this is what most working actors will tell you. Don't scoff, especially if you're like a character part actor. Do not say no to anything. Just like here at the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, we will not say no to anything. If you'd like us to do a commercial on dog food, if you'd like us to do a commercial on Depends, it depends. But we will do it
now. I'll wear them now.
We will do it. We will. So Sophia Vergara did a thing for Depends. My advice, free to you, to anybody that wants to be a working actor: don't say no to anything unless it's pornography, because it'll come back to bite you, or it's going to put you in P. Diddy's house because he's apparently getting off. By the way. Anyway, I digress. Let's go back to the movie, shall we?
Again, this movie is celebrating its 40th. We are in our Gem, our She-Ra, Thundercats 40th, Return of the Living Dead. And Vamp, by the way, comes out the year after this in 1986. And I think our Robert Rustler, got a little more buff even, because he's always in his underwear. Did you notice that in Vamp? They start with him in the underwear underwear because they have that fake.
He's at the body, the jock, the whole. He's nice to look at.
Oh yeah, I mean, love him. But I gotta tell you, this time I realized this guy. I feel bad for him because first they were against each other. They basically come together because in gym class, and they're constantly being punished to do push-ups and this and that.
I'm in trouble. I need you to let me stay here tonight. Are you out of your mind?
They're really not friends. You know what I'm saying? Like friends. He just comes over to his house. He's like, what are you doing here? By the way, with his bedspread that was plastic vinyl, black, looked very sweaty to me. We have this character, Jesse, saying, just watch, make sure I don't fall asleep. You know, the famous, to make sure I don't fall asleep. But this dude, he didn't invite him over. He didn't want him even to stay there. I feel bad. It wasn't like
I want to know why he wasn't invited to the party or didn't go to the party.
Maybe
everyone was there.
Like him.
Everybody was there. It was the party of the century. So let's go back to the storyline. So Jesse's having these nightmares. Typically, it starts with he's in a bus. It goes crazy. It goes off-roading into the desert. You have a series of events. They move into Nancy's house. Lisa comes over. There's the famous scene.
Tiffany. I feel like she's very Tiffany-esque.
Yes, there's the famous dance scene where
oh my God, touch me, baby. Right,
there's the famous dance scene where the dad is telling our scream king queen Jesse to clean his room, and he says, "Take this, Dad," and he goes into this whole like montage, not montage, but like this whole like he puts on the typical glasses. This is the same time that Risky Business was around, so like everyone wanted to do the Tom Cruise running around the house.
How do you like that, Dad?
I need you so bad, baby. This is where you belong. Don't make me wait too long. All night long. Hold me, baby, drive me crazy, touch me all night long, make me love you, kiss and Jesse, touch me all night long. You're my man.
This is also, though, where a lot of people, again, probably did not like the movie because it went off the rails. It became like a rom-com comedy out of nowhere from a horror film because it totally changed the trajectory of the film, because now you got this guy who, of course, as a gay boy and as a gay man, I'm thinking it's totally adorable. I would love my boyfriend to dance around cute and do stupid. Like, I like a nerdy gay. So to do this little dance as he's cleaning his room and saying F you to his dad, because the father is completely ridiculous. So I'm going to tell you right now, I live in the desert and it is hot as hell. And I'm going to tell you right now, if my husband, the father, they're saying it's hot and the father is saying he's like, oh, it's not hot.
Jesse, you okay?
It's just so hot up there. I'm having a lot of trouble sleeping.
I know. Ken, I wish you'd call somebody and have the air conditioning.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that air conditioning, Mom. Just needs a shot of Freon.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't care if you're the most subservient wife or whatever this woman, I would have told my husband, if you don't get off your ass off of that chair and fix this heat in this house, so help me God, I will smother you in your sleep.
My God.
It was on 90-something degrees in the house, and he's saying it's not hot. Meanwhile, they don't live in the desert like I do. They live in like Springfield, like the suburbs, where it's like it's the suburbia and like a normal, like moderately temperatured place. I would have made this man suffer. I would have accidentally dropped coffee on him. I would have cursed his life away if he did not fix 91 to 90-something, 97, whatever it was degrees in this house. If he refused to fix the air conditioning in this house and said there was nothing wrong, he would not rest. I can tell you right now.
It is so hot in here.
Let me look at the thermostat.
My God, it is hot as an oven in here.
It's 97 degrees in here.
But now I'm thinking, was this house really cheap to buy? Because when Jesse comes down and goes, did you know that I think they were mentioning Marge died in the house?
They said she died in the living room. They said she died in the living room, and the girl went crazy and she saw a boyfriend being murdered across the street.
Dad, How come it took him 5 years to sell this house?
Oh, I don't know. I just couldn't get the right price, I suppose.
You didn't know anything about the murder across the street? And the crazy girl that lived here that saw the whole thing?
They told me something about it, yeah, but
You mean you knew something about this and
Oh,
you...
come on, Cheryl. How do you think we got such a good deal here, huh?
Did they tell you that girl lost her mind and her mother killed herself in our living room?
What?
Did they tell you that?
Mom, I'm scared.
Oh, honey, it's all right. Daddy and Jessie are just pretending, that's all. I don't think this is something we should discuss here.
See what you're doing here. I don't want to hear one more word about it, Jess. There's absolutely nothing, I mean nothing, wrong with this house.
So anyway, I'm sorry I went on that tirade, but here where we live, we take the heat very seriously.
No, but it is ridiculous that they move in and the father doesn't ask questions like, is this broken? Did we just buy a house where the thermostat
is it on a lava?
That's what I mean. And it's so
flow
true.
or something. Father's kind of an a-hole. He accuses Jesse of all these things. Now, up until this point,
He accuses the birds.
You think Jesse is like a model, normal, everyday kid, and the father's just a jerk to him over and over again, accusing him of being on drugs. And I guess that might be the first inclination of his behavior, but at the same time, this is what has made this movie probably the most disliked out of the franchise, most of it, because it's you go off the rails when he does this little tiny montage, little dance, which is adorable to me, but it doesn't go with a horror movie. Nowhere in any of these other movies, other than the quick little like boyfriend-girlfriend romance or the reminiscing of like your friends dying, nowhere in any of these other movies is there ever a like funny, cute, like candid moment. It's you're being stalked by somebody that kills you in your dreams, that the fundamental, most basic thing about your life, which is like we have to sleep to survive physically.
Yes.
You can't even do that, which is most simplest thing, one of the most simplest things that we have no choice in doing it. That made it go off the rails. And then people back then were not ready for, and unfortunately the way society is, people were not ready for a scream king, scream queen persona, because first of all, there wasn't even a name for it at that point.
No.
There, not even Spinal Girl. There was, but there really wasn't. There was no mentality.
Aren't these the ones that are setting, of course, I guess Halloween in 1978, but I mean, these are the movies that are setting.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is like the beginning one, but then
we have Alice from the first Friday the 13th, then we have Nancy. So these are the ones that are actually coining these terms. I think we have these movies, the Fridays, the Nightmares, who give us those things.
But I will say to all of the boys and you girls out there that saw someone and it resonated with them, I appreciated it, because again, representation is very important, especially then. Back then there was no representation, and to have a character that you could identify, even though it was never outwardly said.
No, because he's dating Lisa, supposedly.
Listen, I'm gonna leave. I'm not into this.
He's with her. He loves her. She made out with Freddy Krueger, David, to bring him out. They gave him tongue. When the first time I saw this movie, I didn't even think of anything. I didn't think he was gay. I thought maybe the actor was gay, which it turned out he was.
I thought he was super cute. I just thought he was super cute.
I didn't think anything like this. I didn't see the subtext. What I saw was, this is not... what do they call it? The sophomore slump? This is season 2 of shows go through this. You have a beginning, and then you have to say, how do we translate this to more? And I do think that's what this was. And it is so different. I mean, I guess it can go either way. Like, people make fun of the actor Mark Patton's Scream and things like that.
But I'm going to tell you something. So Ryan and Rob had sent us a link to a documentary that was done called Scream Queen, right? And it was basically the story of Mark, who plays Jesse, after the movie, after everything came crashing down for him, because then he was branded gay and nobody wanted to work with him. And again, you have to remember, for the listeners that we have that are of a certain generation or a little bit older, and then for those who are maybe a bit younger, that this was the height of when the HIV and AIDS epidemic really started. So being gay or being different in that way was basically, for most people, was considered a death sentence, or you were diseased. Most people thought you immediately had some sort of a disease, or you had HIV or AIDS, and a lot of people died, unfortunately. And it's terrible that if you look at the statistics, stuff now these days where we don't even look at it, because there's medicines now that people who still are sick can be whatever undetectable or can live a normal long life by just taking medications.
Yes.
That wasn't so then. So to be stigmatized at that time with being gay, your career was at a death sentence. That was it. So being a gay man and then being put into a role where you basically was very homoerotic or very...
But also, I think it's because it wasn't a great nightmare movie, too.
No, it wasn't, but what I'm trying to say...
I think it's like both.
Yeah, well, the documentary that we saw was really about Mark Patton's, his journey after, which was kind of, we can go into that a little bit, but yes, I think that if it was a really great movie and it didn't descend so much from the formula that we love,
right,
I think that it wouldn't have been quite a big deal. Maybe he would have gotten a little bit of slack saying, "Oh my God,
that's what I'm thinking.
You were kind of a quote unquote sissy, or your character was like kind of weak in this because maybe he would have been branded as a character actor from that point on because of
which he does mention, right? That's what his manager at the time said. Well, maybe you could just become a character actor.
So regardless of that, and we can talk a little bit more about that. So,
it is called Scream Queen: My Nightmare on Elm Street. It's available for free on Tubi and YouTube with commercials. It came out in 2019, so not that far away, but it feels
it's really
like
interesting. So long story short, he grew up in a very rural area. He wanted to get out. He knew he was gay apparently. And so he moved to Los Angeles, right? He actually hobnobbed with quite a few people. He was having dinner he was on Broadway. He did something with Cher. He did a lot of TV commercials. He was hobnobbing with the rich and famous and had a promising career. He ended up moving in with another gay actor who was pretty well known apparently. He was on like Dallas or some other some big show that would be really well known in the 80s and celebrated. This is the time, and he said a lot of his friends were dying of AIDS, and so subsequently he did contract HIV from his boyfriend. This man went. He had HIV. He had tuberculosis. He had cancer.
Yes.
He survived all of that, and he's still alive today.
Well, matter of fact, David, this is right on point because right before we were recording, about 2 days ago, Bloody Disgusting, which is a horror website, mentioned that there's a GoFundMe for him currently because he is not doing well. I believe it became AIDS. You go from HIV, right, to AIDS is the full-on disease.
HIV is the virus, and then which causes AIDS, which is when your immune system is
shot.
Yeah.
And he also has effects of long-term COVID, which is also added onto that. So there is a GoFundMe for his care going on right now as of 2 days ago. So I figured I'll put it in our description box below if anyone wants to help Mark, if you appreciated
if you identified with him or you liked the movie. Listen, we don't advertise for that kind of thing. We're not trying to push you to do anything. It's just helping one person, another human being out.
And it's right on time. I mean, like literally 2 days before this recording. It's very poignant. So just to quickly go back to the documentary, because I think it does fill in a lot of the blanks, David. We even had Robert Englund himself in there saying that he knew it was homoerotic, and he actually asked this Mark, the scene where Freddy puts his blades on his face, and he said he was caressing it, and he asked, "Can I put one of the blades in your mouth?" I mean, it sounds like, as I'm saying it sounds funny, but he said he was playing with that because that's what he saw on the paper.
I remember with Mark caressing his face. And I remember asking Mark if I could make that, if I could make it kind of, and I think the word is homoerotic. Mark and I are nose to nose, and I've got the claw on him like this.
And he asked me, actually, if he could put the blade in my mouth.
And one of the pieces of coverage, I rim his mouth.
But I said, well, whatever. I mean, I can go there with you. And my makeup artist, he comes running across, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Stop! He needs makeup." And so he grabs me and he goes, don't you dare let him put that blade in your mouth. It'll look like you're blowing him.
I'm playing with oral there. I'm playing with a lot of symbolism there. But mostly for me, it was disfigured Freddy playing with Mark's beauty, which is what? Beauty and the Beast.
The writer of the movie for a very long time basically tried to pawn off the bad reviews of the movie on Mark and saying how the movie flopped because and became out very quote unquote gay seeming because of Mark. And it's because yes, Mark is gay, but it's also because you wrote it that way because he's also gay, the guy, right?
He didn't say it. He never. I mean, he didn't outright say it, but yeah, that's what I mean.
He wrote it that way, and in this documentary, he finally admits, yeah, he wrote it that way and kind of like shrugged it off and like laughed about it, thought it was like, haha. But listen, I'm all about being true to yourself, and I'm all about standing up for yourself, and especially whether it's you're fighting for your rights or whatever, LGBT plus rights, or your right for your religion or whatever. But at that time, it was career suicide to come out and be gay at that time. And I'm not saying it's right, and I don't know if I would be strong enough to, I don't know, in those circumstances, if I had grown up and I was older at that time looking, and whether I could be a millionaire and come out after I was famous.
What did he mention? Rock Hudson was outed or he just had passed of AIDS at this point or something like that too.
Well, what I'm saying is that this writer basically threw him under the bus and basically said that the franchise, because of his failed acting or because of something that, and it was unfair. It was really unfair.
So they had this part where they had a cast reunion, I'm assuming at one of these conventions, and we had all the leads. We had one of the girls from the bus on there, random.
If I was on the bus, I'd be making sure my butt got there. I'd be like, remember me? I was on the bus.
I was just gonna say that would be my one picture behind too. I'd be like, I am the bus girl. They make money, believe me. Horror fans are loyal. Horror fans are so loyal.
That would be the funnest thing in the whole entire world, to be able to go to and actually be. I don't even care if I was off stage, side stage. I'd be like, yes, and because you know what, those type of actors or those extras and whatever have stories that you're never going to hear if you weren't there.
That's so true.
You have to remember when you're in the backstage or you're in the. I mean, think about it. All the stuff, like even little things that I've done. I mean, if you really don't know unless you're like
Nicole Kidman.
Yes, Nicole Kidman.
Bewitched, be bothered and bewildered. Wait, not be bothered. Wait, bewitched, bewildered.
Christy Swanson. Anyway, I don't say nothing.
Oh. Go back, Radical Ones. You'll hear tales. Matter of fact, maybe our Buffy episode, the movie. I'm thinking of so many things. But yes, there is this cast reunion a few years ago, and the director is saying, you know what, maybe you should let this go. And then I don't know if that was the orchestrating of this meeting, but then Mark actually does go see the writer, like David was saying, and they kind of have like he felt better by the end of it, Mark. But he did fight back a little. He was like, well, I didn't write that you scream like a girl. He goes, and I didn't write that you pushed the drawer closed with your ass. And he said, yes, you did.
He said in the script, it says push with butt. Regardless, unfortunately, that we live in separating the script from the feelings, from the outcome. The bottom line is this sequence was still in there. It was a total dissent from the franchise, and that's why most people didn't like it. I'm going to put it out there. I don't care what anybody says, whether or not Jesse walked around with a rainbow flag or whatever he did. The bottom line for me is what made this movie the least favorite for most people is it was completely different and off the rails. And
also, Freddy, we didn't even mention, Freddy is trying to take over his body. This is nothing that happens in other movies either. He wants him to kill for him, so I guess to get the energy, but he wants to take over again, that's not Freddy.
I need you, Jesse. We got special work to do here, you and me. You've got the body. I've got the brain.
Freddy is trying to basically use Jesse as his vessel to take over his body. To go back in defense of the whole thing, there's the gym teacher. Jesse wakes up in the middle of the night and ends up going into what appears to be a new wave fetish, gay bar, trans bar.
In the documentary, they said it was an actual gay bar. Nice.
So you're telling me that
bar.
that's set up to be that way. So anyway, he ends up meeting the gym teacher, which makes him run around the gym. The gym teacher's in like some kind of plastic fetish wear.
Well, he does. Ron says that the gym teacher likes fetishes, and you're thinking, oh, it's just like, you know how kids talk. This principal does this, but no, it turns out he actually does go to the fetish bar.
Guy gets his rocks off like this. Hangs around queer S&M joints downtown. He likes pretty boys like you. Get out of here.
So was he getting off on, the teacher getting off on making these kids do things? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so. Jesse takes a shower because he's sweaty from being forced to run around.
He has not been sweaty.
First of all, Jesse is underage, and if the teacher made him do that, the teacher would be in really big trouble. First of all, approaching a minor.
This came up. When have you ever, even when you went to school, did you ever see anyone shower in the gym locker? I've never seen this. I've never seen
but
this.
apparently it's been done.
I mean, I know, but is that more of a
before
like
our generation?
70s, 50s,
It's before our
70s?
generation because they obviously had them in schools.
Yeah, I don't get it.
This is the first kill, right?
This is the first with him actually physically doing. We're seeing him put on the glove and then realizing it's
So the gym teacher. This is again where the supernatural thing happens because Jesse's awake and he's showering. The gym teacher gets all of the gym equipment all the gym equipment gets thrown at the gym teacher. He gets dragged and jump rope ties him to the shower heads in the shower. All the shower heads come on. He gets stripped and then he gets beaten with towels. His butt is
Freddy is into it, but Freddy's basically giving him pleasure in a way, right? Because isn't he into that? Or maybe he likes to do it to other people. But yes, he's getting whipped with these towels, and then he says, "Jesse, for me again," and we just see him covered with blood. The police find him, and he's walking around naked.
Yes.
And that's why the father said, "Are you on drugs?"
I have two questions for you. Like, are you on drugs and what kind of drug?
What are you taking, son? Who are you getting it from?
I mean, I guess the naked thing is almost like a very drug thing to do, but there was a lot going on here. And this mother was definitely not Marge, our hero, who used her vodka and cigarettes to lead the charge.
Don't make me make a cigarette, Ryan. Don't make me make a fake cigarette right here. I will. Bring back Marge.
I love when you do it. Did you notice that Jesse at one point looked like he was wearing nurse scrubs? The top was literally a nurse scrub with a pocket.
Yeah, I think
I just wanted to point that out because that was very interesting. So what's really cool is right after this dancing moment, which now has become a big thing because they saw at that convention or whatever he was at, everyone was doing the dance. They were into it. They find conveniently, because Lisa's helping him finish cleaning his room, Nancy's diary in the top of the closet. In the back, it's dusty, and they're beginning to read it. And I'm like, ooh, why did they do this to Nancy? They made her like, Glenn's body is so beautiful. And
I know I shouldn't look, but that part of me that wants to, or whatever, the way Lisa reads it is hysterical.
Why are you doing this to Nancy like this? You giving her, you giving Nancy secrets out like that.
Nancy Thompson, 1428 Elm Street. You know this thing is 5 years old?
You know her?
No, before my time. Wait, listen to this. Sometimes when I'm lying here in bed, I can see Glenn in his window across the way, getting ready for bed. His body is slim and smooth, and I know I shouldn't watch him, but that part of me that wants him forces me to. That's when I weaken. That's when I want to go to him.
So then they get to the part with Fred Krueger. His name is Fred. He begins to read the book too, the diary.
March 15th. He comes to me at night. Horrible, ugly, dirty. Under the sheets with me. Tearing at my nightgown with his steel claws. His name is Fred. And he keeps trying to take me to the boiler room. He wants to kill me.
I also just want to bring up the birds, like you said. The birds look so happy right before that. They actually had smiles on their faces. And then they burst into flames and the other one goes crazy. So that is another thing. By the way, I did write, David, the bars go up again in Nancy's house. Don't they? They put bars on his windows at one point on the top floor. So I'm like, the neighbors must be going, ooh, there goes those bars again. That house always with them bars.
Another one.
So you live around here or what?
Yeah, my parents just bought a place on Elm Street.
Elm Street? You tell me you moved into that big white house with the bars in the window?
Yeah, what about it?
Shit, you can tell your old man he's a real chump.
What are you talking about now, Grady?
Some chick was locked in there by her mother and she went crazy. She watched her boyfriend get butchered across the street by some maniac.
So then at one point, Lisa says, can I borrow the diary? So I'm assuming she's the person at the end with the subtext, right? She's like, I read Nancy's last diary entry. You can fight him, Jesse.
Come on, I just want you to listen to this. It's something Nancy said in the last page of her diary. Listen. He is evil itself. I know now that I brought him into my world. We all did. Gave him all the energy he needed. Our screams were all he needed. Lisa? Jesse, she wasn't crazy. All this really happened. You can fight him.
So let's go back because you're missing some stuff. So Lisa is having a party. She's having a big party, and everyone's invited except for Grady, apparently. So
she's jealous.
So
she knows.
They're having a party. Actually, we did miss something. So there is a point where I think Lisa she believes Jesse. She really does. I don't know if it's whether because she cares about him or the diary backs up. Because here's the other thing. None of these other kids are having these dreams of Freddy. Where most people they can go, oh, this horrible man with the with the sweater. Like nobody's thinking, wow, there's too much coincidence. It's just Jesse.
That's another thing, David. Such a great point. Another thing, it's one teen. Wow, yeah, that's so true.
They do end up going to, Lisa's a little investigator. She finds out where the boiler is, where he used to take his children, where he used to go.
Yeah,
they visit it.
Yeah.
In hopes of, I don't know what they hope to accomplish and during the day and whatever, but.
Do you remember in the diary when Nancy said she kept finding herself in a boiler room? Well, Fred Krueger worked here. It's an old power plant.
What is all this?
I did some reading on our friend Fred Krueger.
How long's it been closed down?
A long time. Come on.
They visit it, and then Lisa has this big party, and Jesse's invited. So then there's a scene where they're making out, and Jesse tries to, he's getting all on top of her. And then
he was convincing with me that he liked that,
And then he got the Freddy tongue, and he couldn't he had to stop, but the tongue came out.
Long and purple.
Gross gray purple Freddy tongue, so he had to stop. There. So anyway, you have Grady where he goes to Grady, he has this dialogue with Grady, like feel him basically coming out of me again, and he really literally rips through Jesse's body and ends up killing Grady.
Grady?
What?
It's starting to happen again.
So then you have
but is that because when he looks in the mirror, Jesse, after he kills him and he sees Freddy laughing at him like, oh, but he's holding the glove.
Yeah.
So I don't think Freddy really does come out. I think that's a metaphor for him taking over Jesse, but I think Grant, he saw Jesse going with the glove and killing him. I think it's Jesse figure with the glove, but it's Freddy in control. So I think all these people did see Jesse killing them. Not knowing
they also saw the nails coming out of the hands, because where would the glove come from?
I think that's in Jesse's mind, because there's that shot where he's dead on the door. He looks at the mirror. He has the glove.
But Freddy recedes once
back. Oh, all right.
I feel like Freddy recedes back once he does the killing, because no one else to kill.
I mean, literally, he rips off his scalp, his head, like it's like
there's a famous part where he says, "You got the body, I got the brain," and he rips off his skull to show his brain. Freddy invades the party.
Have we ever seen Freddy actually? Yeah, that's true. He's taken on a whole. He's
like, you're all my children. The pool starts boiling and people are burning up in the pool. Then there's fire in the pool. Then people are trying to escape. He's stabbing people, but it's almost like a weird standoff. But this again, to the credit, I guess, of the writing, this does seem like Jesse as Freddy, because if the Freddy I know would have just indiscriminately started just slicing, he was like scaring them, but he wasn't going for them. Like he was waiting for people to almost like come near him. There was some good acting I don't know what you want to say because of good writing, but it was where you could tell that wasn't the true Freddy, or that was just the influence of Freddy.
He also looked weird. Didn't he look like very waxy? He looked like different in this movie. I don't think they got the makeup down yet either, like the look. He looked like a waxy Freddy.
So you have a scene where Freddy basically invades a party. He's killing people indiscriminately, but not as many as I thought. People were dying because people were panicking. I
thought a lot more died.
They were stampeding people, fire burning, this and that, and then he goes after Lisa. Well, actually, he went after Lisa first, right? In the house first.
Yeah, she gets. Thank God she gets away.
There's a standoff where he comes after Lisa. She kind of does the whole Jesse. He bites her. He grabs her. It's Chris Brown all over again. Chris Brown and Rihanna. He went for the leg though, not the fingers. So he bites her. She's fighting him, but there's this back and forth. It's like he's like, Lisa, it's me, kind of thing, and she's tortured. This is the only time that Lisa shows any
emotion or range,
real major emotion. But I like this. Actually, I used to make fun of Lisa a little bit at this, but then I just like it. She's very level.
You like that she's calm under pressure, basically. But don't you think that was just dedication? That's what I'm saying. She really wanted this guy in general. Like she's
like, I have put too much time into this relationship now. Now you look like you're burnt up, and maybe you'll come back. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Jesse, help!
There is no Jesse! I'm Jesse now!
Kill me, Lisa. Please kill me.
Come on, Lisa. Kill her! Kill her!
So they're at the party. She stabs him. She defends herself with a cake cutting knife.
Yes, and he runs off, right? Yes.
And then at point after he kills a few people at the party, he disappears into the foliage, which sets on fire. And then she just goes, "Where is Jesse?" And basically takes off in his car and goes to the boiler room area, which she knows Freddy's going to be, or Jesse in this case. And then she gets confronted with, but she comes across these Hellraiser 2 dogs.
What? David, you mentioned them earlier, but what was that?
Hellraiser. I don't know. With people faces on it.
Literally. Dogs with ugly baby faces.
So she's looking for him, and she confronts Freddy, aka Jesse. She tells him she loves him. She tells him he can fight it. She said, basically, you can't have him. I love him. Fight it. And he's in there. And then she does do a really dramatic. She goes, I don't know what the words, but it was really good. Like he knows he's losing his grip on you, Jesse.
Yes.
Like she basically, I thought this was really, really good acting. I thought it was really good.
Go back to me, Lisa.
I am not afraid of you. He's in there, and I want him back.
So she was saving up all her emotion for this one scene, maybe. But she
this
did
is
it
probably
well.
the most apart. The rest of the part. But remember, she wasn't, like you said, she was written to be in the background until this part. So maybe this was really done for her to be very benign and basic.
Oh yeah, because it is a surprise by the time she takes over. Yeah,
so at the end she becomes like the final girl, because Jesse, for all intents and purposes, is really Freddy. The twist. Because if Lisa wasn't there, I guarantee Jesse would have just been taken over, because he really had nobody else. He felt the guilt of killing Grady. He felt the guilt of the gym teacher, and his father's an a-hole, and his mother was very nice but doesn't understand him and just goes along with what the father says for the most part. And
he almost killed the daughter. I mean, he almost killed the sister.
He has nobody else, so he probably would have just descended into being Freddy. So Lisa really turns out to be the final girl, because she has the strength to go to the boiler room to seek Freddy out.
That's true.
She faces him, and she ends up kissing him to show that she loves Jesse.
She was like, "No, I am getting him. It's been 2 weeks, but I love him, mother."
She's like, "I almost had sex in that cabana.
The way he kissed my chest has never been done before. I will save him." I mean, jokes aside, to me that relationship was so fast and pushed. I don't know how long we saw like the movie going, but they just met for her to go. I mean, I know people have fallen in love,
but they're
with
teenagers, Ryan. They're teenagers. Well, I don't know how old they are actual, but in the movie they were teenagers. That's what teenagers do. You fall in love, or in lust, in infatuation.
But it saved him. So whatever it was, hey. So Kathy Dennis didn't write that song, David? Touch Me Baby? Or did she write it and then later on record it? Because this is not Kathy Dennis singing. Touch Me It was like a cover version.
I know that's a completely different song, isn't it?
I thought it was the same thing. Touch me, baby, drive me crazy.
That's
It was a different singer.
No, that's not the song.
Yeah, Kathy Dennis version. It is. It's from these people, whatever this person who sang it, from Fonda Ray, All Night Long, and then it's just Touch Me, and then Kathy Dennis released it as Touch Me All Night Long.
See, I knew it was different.
So basically, I thought Kathy Dennis wrote that because usually Kathy Dennis writes everyone else's songs. So I was like, oh, wow. So that's a twist. So, there was Nancy's Diary. So the actor in when was this? In 2012, he released Jesse's Lost Journals. There are 86 journal entries that span 1982 to 1985. The first 30 entries closely follow the events of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, though new details not seen on screen hints that Jesse's father is a pedophile, Jesse's platonic love for Lisa, his homosexual feelings for his classmate, his feeling of Nancy Thompson as a kindred spirit. There's also a different conclusion in that Jesse supposedly kills Lisa Weber at the power plant rather than the film's final bus sequence, although she later is revealed to survive. The remaining 38 journal entries focus on Jesse's time at a psychiatric ward, his sentencing for murder of Ron Grady, and the apparent disappearance of Lisa's corpse. He escapes from the institution and his efforts to build a new identity. Jesse still wrestles with Freddy Krueger in his mind and enters into a panic when Hollywood begins making the Nightmare on Elm Street films based on Jesse and Nancy's journal entries. So there is an online website where you can read all these. He made 68 journal entries. So the official ending, much like the original, is Jesse waking up or whatever. It's a new morning and he's on the bus with Lisa, 80s girl, her friend in the back, and evidently bus girls. And it's the same thing.
Hey, bus girls, I see you.
I would probably charge like $10. $5, you want bus girls signature $5.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Jesse.
What is so funny?
That was a really great party. Thanks, Lise.
Thanks a lot.
I can't believe it's actually all over.
Let's not talk about it.
Okay.
And it's speeding up much like it happens in the dream. And he's like, slow down, slow down. Well, guess what? Were they going to do this that every movie, I wonder, what's going to end on one of these? Is it really? Is it not? Is it this? Is it that?
Is it cake?
Could it be cake? Is it cake? And evidently this didn't stop anything, David, because we have 20 sequels after this, so it might be a little fluke although, like they said in that documentary, it has now a cult following and it has been accepted by the most fans of the franchise. It's like a different time. Sometimes it takes a few years for things to find its footing and its people and things like that. Also, get this, New Line Cinema originally thought to save money by not hiring Robert back to reprise the role as Freddy.
Oh my God, that would have been the biggest mistake.
And simply used an unnamed extra in a rubber mask to play the part, as had been the case for masked mute killers like Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers. But they reconsidered when they realized that the man had the posture of a dime store monster, as opposed to England's classically trained physical acting. Footage of the extra as Freddy does appear in the film.
Maybe that's. Oh, I was gonna say maybe that's when you said it was different when he was in the.
During Schneider's death scene in the shower, though obscured by excessive water steam, realizing their mistake, the producers quickly brought back England for the rest of the film. Can you imagine?
I'd be so pissed.
He is the face, in a way, of the franchise. I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Here's the bottom line: the franchise would not be what it was without Robert. Let's be honest. One of the reasons why personally I love the franchise, and many people do, is obviously the storyline. Yes, Wes Craven. Yes, all of these different things. Is Robert's timing, Robert's snarky banter, Robert's physicality, the way he carries himself. I mean, I can still honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is in Nightmare on Elm Street 4 when he's with Alice and he's hanging on this gargoyle thing at the church. And he's like, he looks at her and he's like very nonchalantly, like he's just like, whatever. And to me,
It's a performance. It's the
This
performance.
is why actors get accolades and awards for. In fact,
Yes.
it sounds so silly. If I know they really don't give out awards for horror actors, but unless they
do like the Fangoria Awards sometimes, but
I mean, like Robert Englund, if he didn't get an award for his portrayal of and performance of Freddy, I don't know who would, because the rest, a lot of them I know, like Kane Hodder with Jason.
But he didn't. He
Voorhees.
wasn't every Jason either, right? Like he got to do a majority of them. But
I'm just saying, like he had a speaking role, his physicality.
Yes.
He's a, what do you call it? He's not only he's a trained actor, but like that shows through. We've talked about this before when we did like Sugar Hill. When we said the actor that also later
Baron
on was
Zomney.
was with the king of cartoons and everything too. If it was on PBS,
Blackula,
who played Mama Walty. He was a trained classic actor, and you can tell that just by even the silly little clips of him on.
And it adds so much to the character. Yes,
of course it does.
So
of
much.
course it does. There's something to be said. Yes, there's definitely some amazing stuff about raw, untouched, and unbridled talent. But these classically trained actors, there's something to it, the polishedness, and that to me is why this franchise was so successful. Could it have been successful with another actor? Sure. But we're never going to find that out because this is where we are.
Well, didn't we in a way with the remake?
Yeah, but that, again, just like everything else, they just made him like the Uber vamp. I always come back to Uber vamp on Buffy. It was like there's nothing. It was just,
But also that could be like you can't remake the original in a way too. It could be that classic thing. As we continue our summer of Nightmare on Elm Street, these stories are going to evolve. They're getting deeper. They change. The mythos comes a little more. I think after this, it becomes more mainstream, right? And not that this wasn't, David, but I feel like by the third one, it's really, it knows what it's doing in a way. And we do get Nancy back in that. And
I really feel like having Nancy back is what brought the franchise back. That original movie is what that's solidified.
It really is.
That's what solidified it. And to have Nancy back in such a capacity, more empowered, more knowledgeable, knowing that she's still alive, things like that, really, that made a big difference, I think, for the fans of the series.
I'm afraid to go to sleep. I'm afraid to stay awake.
Hello, Rose, aka Radical One. I couldn't make this review this week, so I apologize, but I will be back for the next episode to talk about Dream Warriors. Instead of a game, I wanted to leave this small review and thoughts on Freddy's Revenge. After watching this movie again, I have come to the conclusion that while this isn't my favorite, I feel like this is the darkest and most disturbing film of the franchise. And that is actually a compliment. While the makers didn't see this as an allegory for coming out of the closet as a queer person, this film gives the thoughts and inner saboteur in your head of what it's like to deal with changing into someone you believe is wrong or evil. If you think about it, I think the deaths in this film were pretty personal as well. Freddy's plan was also very calculated and isolated. He just concentrated on one specific person to do his bidding. And deciding that dreams may not be the way to go for him based on what happened in the first one, this is actually a great plan B. Use someone's body as a vessel to do his murders in real life. The one thing about his plan that had no room for error was that Jesse needed to be brought down to his lowest self and manipulated into thinking that he is the problem. And that's what it's like when you have these thoughts on how you view homosexuality and just changing in general. To someone who may not be favored in the world. So I also love the fact that there's, just by the first sequel, they took such a huge risk, not only following up with like Nancy, but giving us a final boy. We got to see a guy go through this and what it's like for that. And we don't really get that many final boys in horror film, especially done in a very vulnerable and sort of a less masculine way about it, right? Like he wasn't just a total hero. So watching Freddy in the real world and their use of light and shadow to cover his face for most of the movie, not only showing his whole face, but for most of the movie was a nice touch, I thought. Just kind of keeping it very, half and half, like you don't know, I think the makeup also kind of worked for him too. In a familiar fashion, I'll rate this film with my entertainment system. Some of you may know my entertainment system based on Movie Geek and Proud. I do a point score of 5, and so here we go. You get 1 point because I didn't fall asleep. I was actually focused. I actually sat there and watched the movie and was not distracted. I granted another point for the acting. Say what you will about Mark Patton, but he gave his best to be a scream queen and still gave male energy of a teenage boy. A boy who was scared and reacted appropriately how any teen would in that scenario. The supporting cast did what they were supposed to do, especially our strong love interest, Lisa, aka Kim Myers, and Robert Russler as the sexy-ass Ron was well needed. Well needed. I'm giving half a point though on the writing. As I said earlier, this isn't one of my favorites because while we got almost double the time of Freddy, it still feels like without the creative dreams, it wasn't as exciting or suspenseful as it could have been. The back and forth with the family seemed a little repetitive and really didn't go anywhere. I also give half a point on recommendation. Recommendation is basically, is this movie good enough to recommend to all types of audiences, or is it niche? Can I only recommend it to a certain type of viewer? As there are other Freddy films to recommend before this one, this is a niche entry that may not resonate with most audiences. So is this film a little underrated? I actually think so, but not enough for a full point to confidently say that the majority watching this will enjoy it. My last possible point, I'm giving a half for rewatchability. This is if I can still be entertained just as good as watching it for the first time, and do I still get anything new out of it even though I've seen it billions of times? Well, this film isn't terrible rewatching it, but because of how isolated it is with the rest of the franchise, it doesn't necessarily connect that well. So you could remove this and the story and timeline would still make sense throughout the rest of the series. So if anything, this film did for the franchise is really solidify that the house is no longer Nancy's house, but it's also Freddy's. So with the total score, I give this film 3.5 out of 5. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble about Freddy's Revenge, and I will see you on the next episode.
That concludes another episode of our Nightmare on Elm Street summer. I will be in the middle of a big move. And the next few weeks, we don't know exactly timing-wise, but hopefully you won't even notice it. Hopefully somehow magic will happen and I'll be able to edit and do all this stuff together. But just no radical ones. If we are late for whatever reason, no, they're coming. We have to actually get through all these movies just to have everything stay on schedule for...
Just know the FCC has not shut us down.
Not yet. And also, Thundercats fans, we are hopefully going to do something before the summer's over, like a little bonus. We've been talking to our friend over there, one of our bunglers, and one of our radical ones, too, who actually does love the Nightmare franchise, Daniel, from the Geeks with the Beards podcast. And we asked him to do a little bonus with us to talk about the comics of Thundercats, because he does comics on his show, and he's been such a supporter of us. So we do have that planned at some point. You can always find David at Universal Appeal 2020, all one word, as well as the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, one word, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and beyond. Please leave us a review, Radical Ones, on your favorite podcast apparatus to help us out.
Particularly Apple. For some reason, that's the gold standard. Apple.
Those damn.
But yes, anywhere. Just
anywhere.
Put a heart. Put a thumbs up and a heart on YouTube. Just something. It'll take you 2 seconds. Please. We need to. We have to fight the algorithm, as they say.
Yeah, we do. And possibly Freddy. Radical Ones, thank you again for being here. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And stay tuned for A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Stay radical. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Pleasant dreams.